Good morning, everyone, and I welcome you all to my session, Building AI-Powered Migration Engine for Sitecore with Model Context Protocol, MCP. By the end of this session, you'll get to know how you can use AI to automate most of your complex migration tasks, and you'll see it working live as well. So, a little bit about me. I'm Manoj Chopkar. I'm a lead engineer working for 7 Kings Code Solutions. I'm two-time Sitecore MVP, has 1+ years of experience dealing in the Sitecore. Here is my email and LinkedIn handle. I'd like to connect with you all guys post this session. So let's see the agenda, today's agenda, and what we are going to cover today. We are going to for the first thing is the migration problem, because before we see the solution, actual solution, I would like everyone know like what the actual problem is and what all things we face, the problems while migration. We'll talk about the Sitecore Marketer MCP, the official server, Marketer MCP server published by Sitecore, and we'll see it working live as well. The architecture, the 3-layer migration engine design, how it works, the template discovery and the schema mapping. And this is the place where the AI does all the magic. We'll see next we'll see the demo, we'll see it working live. We'll talk about the governance and content integrity, because this is a place where most of the enterprise team will ask about, enterprise team will ask questions about, and then we'll have a time for Q&A. So we'll see the actual problem first. So the migration problems. So let's say if you're migrating any of the project from legacy Sitecore from 8 or to any Sitecore version, or from any Sitecore version to Sitecore AI, we usually encounter these 5 types of failure. So the first is complex content structure. So legacy Sitecore implementation, especially those built on MVC architectures, are tightly bound together with placeholders, rendering layouts, templates, rendering parameters. XM Cloud works in the headless way. That means you'll have to use the JSON renderings. The custom code written for the placeholder will no longer be used, and you'll have to redo the implementation. You'll have to redo the work for the renderings as well. Reference dependencies. So everything in Sitecore is GUID. Everything is linked with the IDs. So if there is a broken link on a page, you don't come to know unless and until someone comes up and say, okay, there is an error while saving a page. So reference dependencies, this has to be done there. Inconsistent data format. So especially the fields which are there in the template are not repurposed properly. That means like the field designed for one particular task, let's say it has to be designed for a name or something, is not repurposed properly. It keeps on changing, and there might be a problem. There might be a case where you might not be using that field appropriately. Custom script. So every migration project lands up with an PowerShell script folder for migrating it. So which a developer writes it, and that may or may not be documented, and the developer is never available at the time when it's live. So media dependencies, images, files, paths, and media metadata, field references, that all must be repurposed, remapped before migrating any of the content. So all these 5 failure modes have one thing in common, is like they need a repetitive task to be done, and this is the place where AI is good at. So we'll see how you can automate all the repetitive tasks. Next, we'll see what is MCP, because this is the foundation of what I'll be talking on today. So what is MCP? It's an open standard that gives an AI model a single consistent interface to talk about. Like without writing a custom wrapper. So that means like if you have to connect with your tool, let's say Sitecore, so you'll have to write, and if there is no MCP, you'll have to write a custom wrapper for it, and then you'll have to handle all the authentications and all to connect with your tool. This is where the before MCP describes. So let's say again, if you have to connect with any other tool, you'll have to again write a custom wrapper for it, connecting it. So after MCP, one standard connection, and you can connect with your AI agent, AI model, any tool with the same interface. That means you can connect with your cursor or VS or whatever ID you use to connect with the server directly. So it's the same interface, and you don't need the programming or the API knowledge is not required for this part. So Sitecore Marketer MCP is the official implementation, connecting the cursor or Copilot Studio directly to the XM Cloud with one URL, OAuth login, and you are live. You don't need any knowledge of API knowledge, or you need not to write the custom logic for it. So think of MCP as an USB-C, C-type USB-C of an AI. So earlier to that, we used to have different chargers for laptop, mobiles, and tablets. So with USB-C, you can connect one single plug with all different types. So you can connect your USB-C drive with USB-C type with your laptops, mobiles, whatnot. So think of MCP as like that. So let's see how Marketer MCP works. So so you type a natural language prompt in your any of your ID, let's say cursor, and the cursor then sends the request to the MCP server. Once you're connected with the server, the cursor sends the request to the MCP server. Sitecore Marketer MCP translates that prompts to a relevant agent API call. Then in return, the agent API executes the action in the Sitecore, and then you have a page created or a component added, done. That is the flow of how the Marketer MCP works in all. Okay, we'll see what Marketer MCP can do. Although I have outlined 5 of these categories, there is much more things what Marketer MCP can do. There are around 54 tasks which Marketer MCP can do. I'll show you what all tasks it can do. Not all of them working live, but yeah. So Sitecore Marketer MCP expresses rich sets of capabilities for the AI agent, and you can connect one, orchestrate, and you can basically connect once, and you can have your page ready with that one single connection. The server URL is on the screen, the Marketer Sitecore Cloud IO, MCP Marketer MCP prod. So I have segregated this, what Sitecore MCP can do in the 5 different sections, although there are many others. You can have it, you can read through the documentation as well. So site management, so MCP can list all the sites, retrieve full site structure, enumerate associate pages across the XM Cloud tenant. So you can create a page, you can list all the pages, you can have like what all components it has. So page management is like you can create a page, you can add a language version, you can update a page, you can in a single prompt. Component management, you can list all the available components, add or remove the components from the page with a precise placement location. Then content management, you can update the text field values using the natural language. No field ID is required there. Assets management, you can search for a media library by name or a tag. You cannot upload the image directly with the Marketer MCP. You can, although Marketer MCP can create a media item, you can update the asset, but it cannot upload an image directly to the media library. So let's see how this works in action. What's the architecture and what's the layer it works in? So migration engine operates in all these 3 distinct layers. So one is your AI agent. So you type a natural language prompt in the cursor. The AI decides which MCP tools to call, and again, no knowledge is required for this. The Marketer MCP server, it receives the request, and it's mapped to the agent API and handles all the authentications for you and returns an ID for every operations. XM Cloud Agent API execute actions, create page, add components, respect your Sitecore user permissions. So if an If you can publish a page, MCP can publish it. If you cannot publish a page, MCP cannot publish the page. We'll see the content integrity there. So template discovery and schema mapping. So what it requires to have an like a whole day architecture, 2 or 3 days architecture to understand the template mappings for a components. Now it happens within a minute or within a fractions of second. And the end result is like you all have the version control manifest and you can reuse across every page type. So what it can do is like it can read the source structure. It can list the templates, fields, and types, and it can discover. So AI can discover the XM Cloud component called the get components via MCP, and then the AI proposes the mapping. This is the place where AI works. It proposes a mapping based on the content it has received, and then we review it. So it's better to review. Like you cannot rely 100% on AI. So you review it, you approve it, and you have the page ready. So we'll see it working live. I'll go back to my system and show you working it. So for a context, we'll be migrating this entire page, this entire page content to the Sitecore AI using MCP. And so let's see first how you can connect it. So this is the place where you can. So I'm on the cursor. So if you go navigate to the tools MCP, you can have your MCP connected. So now, if I have to connect to an MCP, let's say let's connect. Again, this authentication is everything handled by Sitecore. If you have seen, I have two organizations where I have the access for. So we'll be going to the demo portal. Okay, we are connected. So as I already told you, like MCP can do 54 actions. So I'll show you what all 54 actions it can do. So these are the list of actions what MCP can actually do. So it can list sites, it can get site information, get information by ID, search site. These are all basically these actions which it can perform. So once you are connected to this MCP, let's go to the agentic tab, and let's say I'll write a single prompt. I'll write this single prompt, and we'll have all this in this natural language, and we'll have all this migrated under a news page. So and this is how where the various sets of action are performed. So you route a natural language prompt there, and the MCP translate this to a relevant agent API call, and it will create a page in the Sitecore AI, which I'll show you. Meanwhile, that it is running, we'll see the next slide because it's taking time. We'll go back again to that demo. So the governance and content integrity. So migration engine doesn't bypass the Sitecore security model; it operates entirely with it. We have seen right now. When I tried to log in, it has logged in using the auth2 authentication. It is handled by Sitecore identity. Those are short-lived tokens. No credentials are stored within the MCP at any point of time. Then permission inheritance, that is what I talked about. The agent acts as a logged in user. If you cannot publish the page, the agent cannot publish it ever. Tenant isolation, MCP is scoped to the specific tenant. That means now if you have seen, you have access to 2 of the tenants, but the actions which I will be performing right now will be specific to one of the tenant. That is the demo portal tenant. So it won't be like you're doing actions in one of the tenant and it goes in the other tenant. So that's not happening. Full audit trail. So whatever actions you perform is logged in, and whatever is created, the field was set, everything, you'll have the entire logging of it. So user configuration. So you can configure the AI user as you configure the rest of the users, and the platform will enforce them automatically. So let me see if it is done. So if you have seen, like it has created an item with the item name Smart Communities Launch Green, and that was the title for the news template or the news page. And it has created this item ID. It has used this template, and again the workflow status is set to draft. So what all actions it has done is, like, it has list all interceptions done. So you'll get all list of trails what it has performed. Now if we try to see this, let's see. So this page, which we migrated, again I told, MCP cannot upload assets directly. So this page entirely what we have provided the URL was migrated like using the MCP. Again, you can perform set of various sets of action. So if you see this, what MCP has done here, it has performed all these actions, update field on items. You'll see all these things. So I won't go. I will not go with the other sets of action what MCP can do. This is all what we have. Thank you, sponsors.